What's going on, guys? This is Christian with Ileana Power Asylum and Ileana Strength and Conditioning. Had a lot of clients having questions regarding reverse bands and how to set them up. Everyone is going to have different opinions on how to do this. I'm going to tell you, if you're working with me, and in general, my opinion and my approach to it. So, reverse bands, when we use them, it is still a form of accommodative resistance, okay? It's working on that curve. So, for this particular method, when the bands are on the bar, the lower you go, the more help it gives you. But that help quickly leaves you the faster you stand up. So, we don't want the bands doing all the work. The way I like to approach this is, I like the bar to actually float where your lockout is. So that's gonna vary for different heights with people, right? I'm short as heck. So I want the bar to float right at my lockout where the bar sits on my back. Okay, so we're not gonna use super heavy bands to get this done. All right, so the way we have these bands set up is we have them on the pegs. This is an Elite FTS collegiate rack, so they have the peg holes in the top. The bands start at the back, go over the front, and then they're gonna go down to the bar. This is a Texas squat bar, so this is a 55-pound competition bar. We're gonna put the bands over the bar. Now, I want this bar to float at lockout. If you look at these bands, they are not very tight. So that is going to be an indication that this bar is not going to float at my lockout. This is not doing us any good, okay? This bar, right at this point, is roughly 55 pounds of help, okay? I want roughly 55 pounds of help right here. So what do? Okay, you got to tighten the bands up, but we can't get them too tight. So what we did, we moved one of the pins further back. We started the band at the front, looped it around, and then down to the bar. I am still considering this a single band, okay? You still only have 2 strands. As you can see, this 55-pound bar is floating almost at lockout. So, for my clients, if you're over a 500-pound squatter, you're gonna be using Elite FTS green bands, or this is one of their specialties. They are white and black, okay? This is how I like people setting up reverse bands. The bar floats at lockout. Now, this also applies to bench press and deadlift. On bench press, I want the bar floating where you would unrack the bar on a bench press, and on deadlift, I want the bar floating where you would lock it out. Now, that's also going to determine or be different on sumo and conventional. Okay? A tall lifter pulling conventional is going to be higher up than if they were to be down in sumo. So, know your application, know why you're doing it, and know what your coach wants from this application. This is how I like to set it up. We already talked about reverse bands and how I like them to set up and my theories and reasons for doing so. Now we're going to talk about bands pulling you down. Okay? Also, form of accommodative resistance. The further you go down, the more the band deloads. The further you stand up, the more the band pulls you down, okay? General topic, bands are always gonna be harder on you than chains. Okay, let's get that out of the way. For my coaching style, this is what I consider a single band. Now, typically I will prescribe a single or a double band and then provide a color of band that I want the lifter to use. So, when I say double band, we are then going to look at this band setup, which would be single. Go directly from the bar under the peg back to the bar. There are 4 strands that are made with this band setup. That to me is considered double band. Now, the taller the lifter, this is going to take drastically more effect on as opposed to the shorter the lifter. One variable that you want to make sure you never fall into when using bands is when you have this setup and you are in a squat or a bench or a deadlift, you never want the band, in my opinion, to fully deload at the bottom. So when this bar is at the lowest point in the squat, this should still be taut. Even on a single band, we have to make sure that when we're in the lowest point of our squat, this does not become loose. We always want constant tension with this band throughout the entire range of motion. For more cues and information, you can email me at 19canto85@gmail.com or go on my Elite FTS blog and just type in Christian Anto.